Michael, Haitian migrants have been a feature of migrant trails up and down Mexico from Tapachula to Tijuana, but it seems like we're at a real moment right now where Haitian migrants are making themselves known to the U.S. government and gathering at the U.S.-Mexico border. Why Haiti and why now?
Hey, Krishna. So I think one of the big things to remember is this has kind of been happening all year, and we've been seeing and hearing some of the same stories from Haitian migrants that have been coming up, mostly from places like Chile and Guatemala through Mexico to the border. You know, one of the things that we hear over and over from these Haitian migrants is that they came here because President Biden, during his campaign and all the way up to his inauguration, was promising to take a new humanitarian view on immigration. They took that to say, hey, look, our borders are open and you are welcome here. And so a lot of the Haitian migrants that we've spoken to over the past couple of days, really are putting the blame on President Biden and his administration for basically inviting them to come to that southern border and to make that crossing. Another thing that we're hearing, and it's one of the first times that I've heard this, but they've used Mexican Independence Day as a way to move freely without law enforcement kind of seeing these mass migrations. They've been able to communicate with one another, and over the past weeks and months have been able to move mostly undetected in large amounts to the border because the simple fact that law enforcement has been either spread thin or the fact that they're just off the clock.
Now, of course, the U.S.-Mexico border isn't exactly open, and the Biden administration has pushed back on some of maybe Haitians' hopes to come into the United States. Since you've been there, since those images kind of went around the country of Border Patrol agents and migrants interacting on horseback, what have you seen? What developments are happening now?
So just today, in fact, right now I'm standing at one of these shelters in Monterrey, one of three shelters. It's the largest of the three. And, this is the closest big city to the southern border. And so it's natural that many of these Haitian migrants that were at places like the Del Rio crossing or in Reynosa or in Laredo, they've come here, they've been pushed back from the border, and they're all convening here at this shelter alone, which usually houses 500 people. They're at double that capacity right now. And what they're trying to do is figure out what's the next step they're going to take. And they have a couple options. They can apply for asylum here in Mexico, and it seems to be the route that many of them are going to take. And what they're hoping is going to happen is if they claim asylum here and they go back to the southern border to try to cross, at least if they are deported, they'll be deported back to Mexico and not to Haiti, where many haven't been for, a decade or so. Their connections there have been lost. Many of their family members have moved on. And so if they are to be deported to Haiti, they're going home to a place that they don't know.
Now, Michael, you have reported in Haiti recently over the summer. What is it like for you to have reported on the issues in Haiti and to see so many Haitians now in Mexico trying to get into the United States?
I think one through line here is fear. There is a large fear of being sent back to Haiti and being put into a country that's experiencing a fairly large level of chaos. Just most recently, we have the acting prime minister now being implicated in the assassination of President Jovenel Moise. Gang violence is still rampant. There's neighborhoods that are largely controlled by these gangs. Whether you're living in Haiti or you're living in these camps here in Mexico, or you're up on the border, the southern border with the United States, a lot of these Haitian migrants, they feel afraid, Krishna. It's not that there's hopelessness, but they just don't know what to expect next.
Thank you. That's Michael Anthony Adams.